Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with Monday Special. Here's a quote from Samuel Johnson. It says, "Integrity without knowledge is weak and useless, and knowledge without integrity is dangerous and dreadful." Tonight we're trying to understand integrity and what role you can play as a Kenyan citizen to uphold integrity in the country. A lot of you saying you're jaded by what's happening in the country, but what can you do? In studio we have our panelists. I'll introduce them to you right now. Starting on my right, we have Carol Kariuki. She's the CEO of the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. So we'll be hearing from her on her thoughts on that. And then we have Sam Makome seated next to her, Chief Business Officer and MD of Kenya Commercial Bank, Kenya. And next to him we have Justice Richard Mwongo, Judge of the High Court of Kenya. And then we'll take a look at the panelists on my left. We have Wairimu Mwangi. She's a third-year student at the Kenyatta University, studying Bachelor of Arts in English and Literature. We have Eric Mosoti, who is a fourth-year student at the University of Nairobi, studying a Bachelor of Education in Science. And finally, Patrick Mariru, Speaker, Laikipia County Assembly. Thank you all so much for taking time to come and talk about this very crucial issue. Later on, we'll be hearing more about the convention that's brought all of you together. But maybe I'd like to ask, you've all come together to talk about the message of accountability and integrity. Why now? Why is it so important now? Maybe we can start with you, Carol.
Thank you very much. I think it's been a conversation that's been ongoing, but I think it's reached to a place where everyone is engaging in the conversation, which is a very good thing. And that makes it easier for those who have been talking about it for a while to be able now to come out even much more stronger. And I'll give an example. Like for us in Kenya Private Sector Alliance, we've had a code of ethics for business since about 2009, and we've been trying to get a lot of our businesses to sign to it. And it's in the last 2 years that at least we've had the energy and the focus and the support, even including from government, to be able to
And you think it make a difference as well?
Yes,
in its early days.
It's early days, but at least we're seeing more interest in business and more coming out to say we want to be ethical, want to do this better business because it pays for all of us.
All right. Please share your thoughts on why it's so important to have this conversation right now.
I think it's very important because there's been a lot of talk about integrity and many people complaining, but I think one of the emphasis now is what can you actually do to create a change. So there's a lot of complaining, but not enough action, and not enough action by everyone. Many people consider it's someone else's duty, it's someone else's job to try and bring the best in Kenya.
But don't you think it's because people are so fatigued?
Yes, you might think you're fatigued, but it depends on your approach. Everyone must believe that they can play a part. It's a matter of philosophy. So long as you think it's another person's role, you'll think, yeah, I'm fatigued. But your approach has to be, I can make a difference. And the moment you say you can make a difference, you'll find that you can, first of all, change yourself, and then ultimately influence your world. So it's got to start with everyone taking responsibility.
Let's go to Justice Mwongo, and even looking at the docket you're in, when we look at the High Court, and I know you know I was coming to that. Obviously there's been all kinds of news and controversy surrounding the justice system in the country. Is there a place in your views for integrity in a system that so many people feel lately has truly failed them?
Definitely, and in the public sector, Janet, we are always right in the center of the public eye, and we are under constant scrutiny. And not only because we are under constant scrutiny, but also because of the nature of our work. Our role is to adjudicate disputes between parties. There's always going to be a winner and there's always going to be a loser in litigation. And so for us it is critically important that there is a very transparent system under which we operate, that there is integrity in the work that each judge does. The role that we play of writing judgments means that we have to be very careful about what we record and how we record it, and then how we use that information for analysis and making the actual decision.
Okay, before we hear from our other panelists, maybe you can give us an example of how you are personally making a difference or trying to stand for integrity within the justice system, for example.
Well, currently I happen to be the elected principal judge of the High Court, which means I supervise the judges of the High Court. And that puts me in a spot in the sense that I have to receive complaints from all manner of people, private and public sector, concerning how matters are running within the court. And so one of the roles I must play is resolve questions that are asked. We of course are continually encouraging people to keep us on our toes. But one of the things I do is really deal with complaints, ask judges. It takes courage, it takes a level of sensitivity and patience with judges. I am not anything above them in the sense that I am a judge equal equal to them, but holding a different kind of office. So one of the things I have to do is to be able to ask the judges to respond to issues. And
later on, I'll also ask the two of you just the individual roles you're playing. Going now to the students, and again, you've been in the news, especially Eric's campus, and not necessarily for all the right reasons. How difficult is it for you to be able to stand up for what's right, really when there's a lot of noise around everything that you're doing wrong as youth, as students in the country? Maybe we'll start with you, Eric.
Maybe I'll say, first of all, it's not that the university has lost at it all. Yes, there are so many issues. There's unrest and many other issues that are coming up due to lack of integrity, especially in leadership and other factors within the universities, and not only in the university, even the youth. But I think there's still hope. Having that there are people out there, there are still good people out there who are standing out for integrity, even in the universities. And that's why I think also we are here. Because one of the things I believe in, that it's possible to be a person of integrity in the university, as a young person, as a student, and as a Kenyan.
All right. Wairimu, where do you think that issue is stemming from? Eric has talked about leadership. I think there's issues around leadership. What is the core issue that you think is discouraging a lot of young people from wanting to go the right way? When we looked at the youth report that was released a few months ago, many said they would easily take a bribe to get ahead. Many said they would do whatever it takes to make money. Where do you think that is stemming from?
I think one of the issues is that we lack models of integrity, of people who have upheld integrity. And so really, if at all our politicians are not being integral enough in the areas and the fields that they are working in, it's only obvious that even the youths will follow in that track. And so if at all we would get some model and some leadership from the people who've gone ahead of us, it would also be easy to pick it up from there and also to flow with it.
There could be a young person watching and saying, you know, I'm discouraged, I'm seeing the wrong role models all around me. How would you encourage them to take the first step in trying to live a life of integrity?
I think the realization that what is happening is wrong first is the first step, and also wanting to take responsibility, like we've gathered here this evening because we want to take responsibility, we want to stand out, and we want to go against the norm of the society which is there today.
All right. Patrick Mariro, Speaker, Laikipia County Assembly. Again, a lot of criticism around political circles, around what's happening. How will you be able to make a difference in your own small way, considering, once again, people look at individuals in political circles as the perpetrators of lack of integrity all around?
Yes, I think even combining with what you had asked my colleagues about why this conversation now. If you look at the national conversation and discourse, the last 2 years, 3 years actually, it's about what's happening around the counties, and that's where I'm based, at Laikipia. I think this is a very important conversation because Kenyans are tired across board, and they are angry with the leadership, but they should also be angry with themselves. And this discourse is not only a discourse for leaders, it's a discourse for the entire country. Now, from where I sit, I think it's not, I would be wrong to say that I'm the best of the best. But there are individuals at the counties and across this country that are trying in small and big ways. At the County Assembly of Laikipia, when we came in 2013, there are certain conversations we had internally and ask ourselves as a bunge, as an assembly, what is it that we will do that causes some meaning and value to our people, the 450,000 Laikipians. There are a number of things that we have done. For example, in terms of passing laws in Laikipia, you'll be surprised to hear that Laikipia has been the leading in passing laws in this country, and a number of many other things that I don't have time to explain. Not that we haven't had challenges of integrity across this country, but there is trial in small and big ways to remain integral and to remain the course.
Have you ever been in a situation that compromised your integrity yourself, and if so, how were you able to address it or overcome it?
The truth of the matter, from where I sit, there are many situations that you face that would compromise your integrity, but at that point you have to stand and say, look, it is either this way or this way, because at some point somebody has to stand and say, this is acceptable, this is not acceptable. And it's not as simple as that, as saying this is acceptable or not acceptable. It's also an issue of the people you lead getting into conversations and saying, is this right? You know, I was telling someone in Laikipia, we are we are paid from people who walk for 25 kilometers to access healthcare, who walk for 10 kilometers to get water. We have to sit as a leadership and say, what is it that we must do? And then to add on that, over and above the leadership, even the people have to stop this wailing and crying and take action, take individual actions as leadership, as leaders, and also as individual citizens.
All right. And maybe this is the question I could ask to Mr. Makome and, of course, Carol Kariuki as well. Violet from Kajiado East says, I want to make a difference in my country. I have a business plan, but I'm discouraged. My question is there a government or people in the panel, I think that's what she means, are able to motivate an entrepreneur like me?
Okay, maybe I could start. I think there are many ways, and we try, but I must say that information doesn't always get to everyone. So like one of the things we've done, and this we did after the Global Entrepreneurship Summit last year, was to establish an association of innovators and young entrepreneurs. And so we've been trying to market it to ask many young entrepreneurs and innovators to be part of that from wherever they are, because this is where you can get help, you can get information, and you can be mentored. But also we do have other members of KEPSA who are innovators, like the Nile Labs and the iHubs, and this is where we also encourage a lot of these young people who want to try ideas to be part of and to be members of that, so that at least they can have opportunities.
And of course, just make the effort to reach out, because I think from what a lot of young people say is, again, the discourse about feeling discouraged and feeling like it's inaccessible across the board. Tell us a little bit more, if you can, Justice Mongo and Sam Makome, about Hesabika and what it is that you're trying to achieve in the country.
I think Hesabika, just like what it means, is to stand up and be counted. I think many people always look to outside of themselves, but the idea is to yourself stand up and be counted, whoever you are. One of the biggest things that I do constantly is to always negate the false narrative in the country that unless you are doing something wrong, unless you're a crook, unless you do something sly, you will not go ahead. That is now it's a widely held concept in Kenya, that if you do bad things, if you're deceptive, somehow if you get a bribe, you'll go ahead. But it's a false narrative, because all ancient texts and all our belief system are that if you do right, good shall come to you. But you have to negate that entire narrative and train people to know that when you do right, ultimately you will end right. So it's really a question of training, teaching, living, modeling it. And a big part, I always say, and there's somebody who said, you can either cast the darkness or light a candle. So you can keep, and see, darkness doesn't respond to noise and sound, but it responds to light. So what you have to do is not keep on making noise about things, but modeling it yourself. Getting to a point where you can live it, you can model it, and somebody talked about, she talked about role models. Live it and make it even attractive for people to live a life of integrity.
All right.
And teach other people so then you are able to create that change.
I think you've spoken well in terms of the philosophy behind it, in terms of the practicability as well. But maybe you or even Justice Mwongo can talk to the person who is watching this and feels like they've tried everything. They constantly face roadblocks. They don't have access or don't feel like they have access to the opportunities and amenities that other people have. And they feel like the only way out is to go round the back. Talk to that person and try and convince them that integrity is the answer. How would you tell them?
Janet, it's not easy to convince someone who doesn't have a belief system. I think for me, I'm a Christian. I love Jesus Christ as my Savior. And so for me, it is pretty easy to accept the fact that with God, everything is actually possible, including maintaining integrity. It's actually extremely difficult when you don't have a philosophical basis or a religious basis for an integrity system to be able to live a life of integrity. I think it's difficult. And so for me, I would encourage people to who are seeking to live this kind of life to actually seek God first. And this is not idle. You know, our constitution, and the people of Kenya did this, starts in the preamble. The very first provision in the preamble says, we acknowledge the sovereignty of God Almighty, of the creator of all. And so in the constitution, in fact, we have other provisions and symbols that take us to God. For example, the national anthem, O God of all creation, and provisions that allow all forms of religion and do not bar any type of religion. And so what I would encourage people to do is to inculcate a life where you spend a bit of time with God on a regular basis, so that you are able to get a direction, a focus, and a compass for living.
All right.
That's what I would
that's what you'd say. Patrick Mariru, before we get some comments from Eric and Wairimu, someone here is saying, I'm Kimani from Thika. I'd like to ask Mr. Mariru to address the issue of MCA spending millions in their county budget, and quite a few messages of the like have come up. And I know you might have touched on it briefly, but trying to convince people that, you know, they put their faith in some of these members of the county assembly, and thought these are the people who are going to give them a better life. But what they see is people who are spending aimlessly, spending huge amounts of money. What do you want to say to the Kenyans who have doubts about the leadership at the county level?
Well, I think there are such doubts, and that's the truth of the matter across this country, especially the last 3 years. But I don't want to say that it is doom. It is not doom. There has to be a connection, even for the members of the county assembly, the members of the national assembly, and the leadership, both county and national, as Justice has said. There has to be a connection between public office and higher calling. Higher calling. When the MCA is seated there and they have public money that is entrusted to them, there has to be a fundamental appreciation that that office, they hold it on behalf of others. That is so fundamental, and it is beyond superficial looking at it. It has to go deep into the heart of the leader and say, you have the 5 billion, you have to budget it. What is it that you do? What is it that you don't do? Because you have these millions that are under you. And so the appreciation that the office is a trust on behalf of others. Now, I may have simplified it. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's an individual journey, but it's also a collective journey. And people and individuals have to appreciate that the responsibility they have is not to themselves. And I'm not simplifying it.
All right, I have to stop you there, because very soon we have to get closing comments from our 2 other panelists here. There's a convention, I understand, happening on the 30th. Please very briefly tell us how people can participate in that, how Kenyans can be a part of that convention, courtesy of Hesabika, before we get closing comments from the
Yes, the Hesabika convention is an opportunity for Kenyans to be somewhere together next weekend, and ask themselves this hard question: how comes what is happening in the country, and yet we have Christians and non-Christians who love this country? What is happening? What is our individual responsibility to make Kenya a better Kenya? What is our collective responsibility? So this convention will have individuals coming, and it is open. It is now on Citizen TV. You can go to Focus website and fill up. We want to have as many Kenyans come in there, and it's not a talk shop. It's not where you go and theorize and analyze, and we want to have models coming. We want to have people asking themselves very hard questions and asking what responsibility will people take. And there will be very serious follow-up on the commitments individuals who put themselves into many years to come, and see those who have responsibility, those who have offices, what is it that they will do to make Kenya a better Kenya. So we are inviting everyone to come for this great convention on the 30th, 1st and 2nd, 30th of this month,
and the 1st and 2nd of May.
Yeah.
And you say the website where they can get more information?
Yes, the website is Fellowship of Christian Unions website, and also Hesabika website.
All right, very, very quickly, Eric, because unfortunately we're completely out of time. What can we expect from young people at this convention?
Maybe just one message to students and the young people out there is that someone said that evil triumphs when good people sit down and do nothing. So, and we as young people have been told that we are the leaders of tomorrow, and we are the people who can change. So this is a high time that this is a chance that we have been given as young people. And so I talk to all the young people watching that this is a chance that we might have bad role models ahead of us, but we can still change this country. So I'm calling all of us to come on board as we go for the convention of Hesabika. Everyone to come on board.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Finally, Wairimu?
I think as young people we need to get to a point where we are disturbed at what we are seeing in our campuses and in the society at large. Like for example, the issues about cheating in exams and the unrest in the campuses. And out of that disturbance, we need to take action. And that is why the theme for Hesabika is translating concern into action. Because again, we not only need to get concerned, we need to put some action into it and to do something about it. And just like Eric has said, we've been told over and over again that we are the leaders of tomorrow, and clearly we do not want a Kenya that is going to the drains by the day. We need to take up our responsibilities as young people and just be the people to model integrity even in our nation.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Thank you all. I know this is a conversation that will certainly be going on for a very long time. Thank you for taking the time to come and explain it to us. And obviously it's running on Citizen TV, so people will learn more about it, and we'll hear more about the convention as well. We'll take a short break and come back with your feedback on Monday Special.